Sims, let's go.
Hello everyone, it's your girl Miracle Sims and you're watching the GSL Talk Show. Tonight we're chatting with another amazing entrepreneur and author, and her name is Lawrencia, and she has powerful testimonies to go along with this, so stay tuned. Welcome back to the GSL Talk Show. I'm here with the lovely Miss Lawrencia. Hey, how are you doing?
Good.
Welcome to the GSL Talk Show.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I know me and this lady go a little big back, at least a few years. So go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
My name is Lawrencia. I'm the owner of Art Enough by Lawrencia. So I make coloring books, stationery, and things like that. And my brand is an art empowerment business overall. So I love to empower the kids. I really love empowering women and entrepreneurs, but I empower everybody. But those are my three people I love the most to empower.
And look, she is killing it out here, man. Listen, if you follow this lady on social media, you'll get inspired. She got a lot of things going on, and she's always promoting, which I know that's like one of the main things that entrepreneur always be promoting. So I met this lady a few years ago. I was out there performing, and she not only supported, but then she ended up winning my big old gift basket. So
I'm so happy.
And then here you are, like years later, killing the entrepreneurship game. So tell everybody like how you got into it, you know, where you're from, everything like that.
So I've been in Atlanta since I was like 5, so I just say I'm from Atlanta. So how I got into it was I have a degree in psychology, and I've always been creative, but I wasn't in tune with my niche. Like I've always been creative, but I always been, you know, have you ever been so smart you can do everything? That's me. So I didn't know my lane, but I went to school for psychology because I wanted to get degrees. So my mom could be like, "You went to school," and I was like, "I want to help people." I didn't really dig too deep into what I wanted to do. I just picked something, went to school, finished. And then when I got out of school, I realized like that I loved art. I realized that art kept me grounded. So I started with this business called, the first business I tried to start was a nonprofit. I realized I don't know how to grant write. I don't know how to do anything. So I didn't even do anything with that. Then I made Custom by Rencia, where I was painting on stuff and doing paintings. I didn't know how to market. I didn't know how to sell. So that it didn't go so well. And then I just was like, I'm gonna give up. And I went to work for a little bit. And I was in sales and marketing where you met me, where I was selling like, you know, vacations and things like that. But I was working on at home, like I want a business still. So I actually wanted a coloring book when I met you. I was like, I want to learn how to make coloring books, but I'm not the best illustrator. So I was at home on my iPad trying to teach myself how to draw. And I'm like, there has to be an easier way. Then I met you, and you like literally just I tell people all the time, yeah, I met this lady, she was an author. They're like, how you get started? I'm like, she showed me what to do and I didn't know what to do. So that's kind of how I really got started. And from what you gave me, I already had the passion. I just applied it. I just started applying it.
And that's such a, I'm grateful that, you know, I guess you see me a part of your journey and whatnot. You know, how can I say, I guess I've been out here, for example, trying to just share and spread seeds, whatever the case is. And so it is a blessing to see, like, I guess seeds that you plant flourish, you know what I mean? So like I say, ever since then, our conversation, whatever it was, I definitely have seen you going and growing, not only with your coloring books, you've been creating bookmarks and all kinds of other merch and things like that. I've been seeing you networking. So like, even I can't even really take much credit. Like it's all about like getting the information right and then applying it at the end of the day. Like, I don't know, the past couple of days, as I've been doing my daily inspiration segment, y'all know the juice, everybody should know about now. But basically, as I was doing that, I've been kind of reflecting on this concept of like doing it, right? Or knowing what we need to do and then doing it. Like people struggle with the getting started part, and they can have everything they need. I know, for example, even when I found out the details or the things that I needed to get to the next level with publishing and everything. Shout out to Crystal Swain Bates, because I think y'all know the story. That's where I got a lot of the, I guess, inside tea on self-publishing and whatnot from. Once I learned those things that she was sharing, I realized that I had everything that I needed. And sometimes it can be in our hands, but like people say, we fumble the ball, like whether that be people or whatever it is, we fumble those gifts and things that God presents to us, and then we wonder why we don't get to the next level. So, I mean, I'm proud of you, man. I tell you, I know I tell you all the time, I try to, show love on social media or whatever, because I'm like, you could have took the information and just threw it away. You could have took the information and just never did nothing. And all of those things keep being reiterated, because I guess it just reminded me, for example, of like that parable about the sowers. The one person that took it and hid it and did nothing with it, they didn't have any fruit, anything to come from it. But the individuals that did take what their master gave them in the parable now, y'all, and did something with it, you saw that they not only got what they had what they received, but then they received like twice as much as they put in, or whatever the case was. And so I don't know, it's just stuff like this is just playing out in real life, and this is how it happens,
And it happened to me yesterday. Like, I was at an event and I met this lady, and she put me on this guy who she just met like 2 days ago. He's like a best-selling author, and he gave me a free consultation because he was like, he just seen my picture and he feels like I'm really trying to do something. And I made a 24-page like how to scale my business, because I just threw myself out there. So I struggle with sales a lot unless I'm at pop-ups, because I never really had a solid, like, this is what we're going to do in 6 months. I just, I'm just like riding the bicycle, flying while I'm going. And everything that I kind of had on my plan, he pretty much confirmed it. Like, I didn't tell him my plan. He was like, yeah, just do it yourself, keep going, and, this and that and that. He gave me this consultation, and I was like, that was God. He was like, God just told him in his heart, don't charge me. So I feel like when you're really going for what you want, you have to have faith. Like, I'm kind of like you now. I'm a full-time entrepreneur. Like, sometimes I question, like, how is this bill gonna pay? How am I gonna get out of the situation? But I feel like it's gonna come because I'm doing something that God wants me to do versus something that I have to feel like, I go out there easily sell. I'm a great salesperson, but is that what I'm supposed to be doing? That's how I look at it.
Yeah, girl, see, you hitting on the head again, because I feel like I've been the past few days I've been studying this, y'all, and it's just one of those things where I know people struggle, and some people may not be entrepreneurs, right? And I get that, but then I guess what I talk to so many different type of people, right? And people that be talking about like the stuff they want to do and stuff like that. It's like sometimes it's in you just to do it. Like sometimes you got to just take that first step of faith, and that's what's going to help you get to the next level. Like, who knew, like, all these years ago, me kicking off the daily inspiration was going to like kick off every other aspect of like the stuff that I had been dreaming about. Like, a year after I kicked off the daily inspiration, well, a few months in, I started the talk show, which is what we're doing now. A year later was when I learned the publishing, which is something I've been wanting to do for years. And then after that, it's like I'm helping people, you know what I mean? And it's just all those different things that tied off of that first step. And I think about it every now and then, like, where would I be if I didn't take the first step? So where do you think you would have been if you didn't take the first step, Lawrencia?
I mean, I probably would be somewhere selling stuff, but I wouldn't be happy. Like, I probably would be somewhere making money, because I've seen a lot of money, and I'm actually in school. Like, I'm getting my MBA, so I graduate in April. So like I can go anywhere. I'm a learner. I'm an excellent learner. That's one thing I learned about myself. I'm a great learner. Anything I want to learn, I'm gonna learn. So I would be somewhere probably in a corporate job, but that's not my purpose. So I'm actually more happier. Like I'm so happy just doing, like, creating and making content and empowering. I actually love what I do. I can say that.
That is such a bliss, and I'm in the same boat as well. And I hope that other people can get to that place as well. Again, it doesn't have to be being an entrepreneur. It can be, maybe it is a 9-to-5 for somebody. Maybe it is working with their hands. Whatever it is that God created you to do that and do it well. And I think what lets us know if we're there sometimes is what you just said. Like, if it's something maybe that, I don't know, because I was about to say if it's draining you or something, it might not be your passion or your purpose. I think I could probably safely say that. I mean, maybe people won't agree because sometimes people just do a job and then they're like, well, it may be draining. Or even sometimes your passion can be draining in some ways as well. Because, like I said, you just mentioned there's ups and downs to entrepreneurship. But I feel like when you're in, not, I guess, the will of God, or when you're in your purpose or your lane or whatever it is, like you can go through the things and you'll still have joy, hope, peace throughout the thing. Like you just mentioned, you're not worried about, where it's going to come from. You know it's coming, and you know that you got everything in you to get it. Worst case scenario, I don't know. I mean, how do you feel about that? Am I putting words in your mouth here, or am I?
No, that's how I feel. Like, I just did a podcast with my friend. She has an entrepreneur podcast. And we were talking about how draining, like I networked so hard when I was first starting as an entrepreneur. Like I joined a co-working space. I went to like every event. I networked so hard I got an award. I went to like every event. I pushed through everything. And I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about, some of this stuff. I'm just going to write it down in a notebook. But I did it so hard where I got tired. And I'm like, networking is draining to me now. I'm like, oh goodness. But I know that I'm doing something I love. So it's like me going to a job is like, oh, I don't want to go. I got to drag myself out of the bed. This type of drain is a different drain. It's like, okay, I'm tired, but I'm going to go because I need to meet more people. I need to learn. So it's a different type of pull, like a different type of drain. So when you love what you do, it's a different type of drain. It's more fulfillment drain. Like it's like positive stress versus like negative stress. It's more of a positive stress. Like you need to go through this stress versus, oh Jesus, I don't need to go through this stress. So it's what you're saying is a different type of feeling.
Yeah. And then I'm sitting here thinking as well, like, I mean, I see all the time your posts when it comes to, the little girls that have the coloring books, or maybe the women, or whatever the case is. And so how has the feedback been for you and your business endeavors now that you've, put yourself out there?
When I first started, I feel like all I had was a table and one book. Like literally a tablecloth, and one book. And I feel like when I first started, a lot of people supported me, but I didn't know what I was doing. So my marketing was not the best. But now I feel like people come to me because I have like better, like I have a shirt now. I just got this. I have like sparkly tablecloth. This is actually a tablecloth / backdrop. I'm more like organized versus like when I first started. So I kind of feel like having more stuff, having business cards, having like creative signs, being able to take all forms of payment and know what I'm doing. It helps a lot.
Awesome, man. And I guess the thing that I was wondering here is like for example, right? Once I launched GSL, and sometimes you have those doubts about like, well, am I doing what I'm so, things like that. But then people have come along, like more so guests, right? They'll come on the show and they say, man, I've been looking for a place like this to be able to come and share and things like that. Like, have you felt that same thing in regards to maybe a little girl when she's looking at the coloring book, or I know my son was very excited to get his coloring book when he saw it. He was like, wow, is that me? And things like that. So like, how has the feedback been to like your products or your merch or whatever the case is?
I didn't like say, oh God, I want to be a kid's coloring book author. I was like, I'm gonna make something for everybody, but I'm gonna start with kids. But I feel like maybe that's like what I'm supposed to be doing, working more with kids than anybody. So I'm gonna make more kids books because I feel like that's, I guess creativity is kind of like a kid too. Like I try to make an activity book. It's supposed to be for adults and kids, but a lot of people are still buying it for their kids. So I think that I feel like kids love my books. One of my friends told me her kids took her book to school and she used it in a project and was like, this looks like me. So it kind of makes me happy to know that I'm doing like what I'm supposed to do and I'm empowering people. Because you're not doing anything if you're not helping somebody or you're not empowering anybody. So it kind of makes me feel like I'm walking in my purpose.
And that's good too, actually. I mean, well, one of the things I definitely, I guess, learned as an entrepreneur, and I heard an entrepreneur say this on a video recently, was like, listening to your customer on what they want and need from you. That could be that thing, get you to the next level. If you're hearing that the kid thing is what they're needing from you, hey man, that might be the next move, like you said, to continue that on and I guess let that take you to the next level. Because I mean, these are the people that are supporting, and these are the people that are like looking for something from you in particular. So I mean that might be it, sis. You never know.
Yeah, I'm working on classes too. I just started working on them yesterday. I'm gonna start like doing weekly classes because a lot of people, I feel like I'm at the stage where I can empower a lot of people like who are in the middle or like just starting. Because sometimes like when you talk to somebody and they have like all of this following and all of this stuff, they kind of talk over you and they can't and they're not trying to. They just got to that point where it's not like it's not relatable. So I feel like, you know, me, I have like 800 followers. I probably made like thousands or something in book. I haven't hit 6 figures, but I'm able to tell people how to at least get where I have gotten, like how to network, what you need, what you don't need, you know. So I think I'm going to start doing classes on like different topics to teach entrepreneurs like the simple stuff.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, this reminds me of this mastermind I went to. I won't say the name, the lady's phrase, because she came up with a phrase for it. But basically, one of the things she was teaching us is that everybody knows something that they could teach or whatever. So, like you just said, there's people that are like, I say under you, but maybe they're behind you, right? Maybe they're on the way and they don't understand this or that, and you got the information. You can teach them, even in the midst of you learning the next step for you, right? And so it just goes on and on like that, to where I think once we get into our gifts and really and see the opportunities and things like that, the windows of opportunity, again, listening to our customers, all that different type of stuff can help you get to the next level and then help reach the next person and bring them to their next level. And so, yeah, man, sounds like you on the right track in a lot of ways, man. Look, I already told you I'm proud of you. I can't say it no more. But I know there were some other topics you wanted to come and chit chat about as well. Were there some personal things you wanted to share in regards to mental health or something like that?
Yeah, so like I deal with so I'm diagnosed with 3 things. PMDD, which is premenstrual dysphoria disorder, depression and anxiety. I feel like I kind of got a lot of control over my depression and anxiety. It kind of shows sometimes, but I have a lot of control over that. But my PMDD is very hard to manage because I don't know if you know what PMDD is or if anybody's watching knows. It's premenstrual dysphoria disorder. So it's like the week before your period, you turn into like a crazy person. You're emotional. Like the stuff you get mad over is honestly worth getting mad over. It's stuff that's like people do that you normally just adult and just suck it in. But it's like you can't really adult that you just like everything triggers you, you're emotional, you're crying. And I've learned that like being an entrepreneur, this helps me so much with my mental health. Because if I have a week, I'm not forced to be like, hey job, yeah, I'm having like a mental week. You know, I don't have to explain anything. I don't have to get disability papers. I can just sit in my room and sit in my bed and still work if I want to feel like working. If not, you know, I don't have to work. So I think that anybody who deals with any kind of like mental disorder, entrepreneurship is really a great path because you can kind of learn how to work with your episodes and things like that.
That's very interesting as well, because I know we had a previous guest that, again, when you see someone, you don't see whatever I mean, I know you mentioned that is as a disability or something like that. You don't see certain things that people, you know, may be dealing with. And so, you know, maybe everyone won't understand because they're like, it doesn't seem like anything's wrong. So what would you say in regards to that?
I would just say never judge a book by its cover. Because a lot of people, like I'm really like a blunt person. Like I will sit there and tell you what I feel, and I say it like one time, but a lot of times I feel like it's not heard. Like I'll tell somebody like, oh yeah, I deal with this, and they're looking at me like, I don't know, she might be lying. You know, it's because they don't see it. You know, and I feel like you shouldn't judge a book by its cover because you never know. Like people with depression don't never leave the house. Somebody could literally be a gamer and they're gaming because they don't want to leave the house. They got anxiety and this is what they do to make their money so they don't have to socialize with people. You know, so I feel like you should never just be like, oh, such and such life is so perfect and this is so perfect, because I feel like everybody has something, whether it's mental or physical, but there's something going on with everybody. And I think that as humans, we should have to learn how to treat people and how to deal with, you know, everyone.
And so you saying that like being an entrepreneur has helped you cope with these things a little bit more?
Yeah, like if I have an episode, like I don't have to like, I can just sit in my room and I make batch content sometimes. So sometimes I go one place and make like 6 or 7 reels or different things, or I have like, you know, I can recycle one of my video interviews, but I don't have to show up. You know, at work, no matter how you feel, they want you to show up. I don't have to physically show up to things when I'm not mentally there. So that's why I love entrepreneurship. I can plan my life around my schedule. I'm like, it's gonna be a bad week for me. Let me not make sure I schedule myself for any events. Let me make sure I don't, you know, schedule myself pretty much.
So how did you well, I'm curious, how did you cope with the things before you became an entrepreneur, since it is a recent development of you becoming an entrepreneur? And then I'm also wondering, like, how did you find out about these things? Like, was it just something you were dealing with and then you got diagnosed, and then, you know, like, can you walk us through that if you don't mind?
So I always felt like I kind of knew it a long time ago, but like I kind of knew it when I was like 18, 19. I'm a psychology major, so I'm really inquisitive, and I just noticed like something's off. So what really made me notice it is when it was my last year. Was it my last year of college? It was like my last year of my associate's degree. Like that summer in between me going to, you know, a 2-year school and a 4-year school, I had a suicide attempt. And so I ended up in the actual like psych ward, and they diagnosed me with major depression and anxiety, which I do believe I did have major depression, and I believe I did have anxiety, but I was like, something else is off. Like, I'm a psychology major. So like I just did my own research, and I was right. Like I told my therapist, I use free therapy at school, and I'm not ashamed to say that. And I think a lot of college students, if you're paying for school, like you're paying for this. It might not seem like you're paying for it, whether you got a loan, you're paying for it because you got to pay it back. Use your resources. So I started using my free therapy at school, and I told her like what was going on, and she was like, yeah, that was pretty much right. So I started I took birth control for a year. I don't really believe in taking like medicine unless you really, really have to. And I kind of need to, but I try to find different ways to manage it because of all the side effects of pills. Like pills, like the birth control, they can take birth control, and or you take depression medicine every day. But the birth control, it can give you like blood clots, and nobody talks about all the side effects of pills. So I took it for like a year. I started feeling like a little better, but I still was like, I don't think this is normal. So I recently just stopped taking the pills. But I've learned that my answer to my problem is to be by myself. Like if I know I'm gonna have a bad week, you know, I need to go get some healthy foods, and I need to just sit in the house, watch a movie, go somewhere that makes me feel happy. But I cannot really be around too many people because that's what triggers me. Because I had to realize you're gonna have this episode regardless. So I just learned how to manage my episodes versus me trying to alleviate the episodes.
Well, I definitely like what you were saying about using the resources and whatnot, because I mean, some people may forget, like you just said, about the different opportunities that are available, college. I mean, even community places that are available. I know there's plenty of organizations out there that, you know, are available as well, that resources that people can use, even if they, for example, may not have the funds for the therapy or whatever the case is. But then in my understanding, sometimes depending on what you're dealing with, there might be phone lines that you can call or things of that nature.
Yeah,
nonprofit.
I called the suicide hotline once. I'm being open, but I called the suicide hotline, and I told them like, I'm dealing with this. I don't have I'm not in school anymore. I don't have counseling, and I really need to talk to somebody. And so they actually gave me a free local resource in my community to get free counseling. I'm not gonna say it was the best counseling, and I really didn't use it. I didn't really like it, but it helped me get like pills and whatever I needed.
Well, I'm glad you pushed through, and that you are here, and that you are thriving. Because how long ago was that?
So my suicide episode was like, it was like when I was in the early college, like my early 20s, like maybe like 23, something like that.
Okay, and so I guess like a while then.
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago.
Okay, cool. And so then now, it seems like you're on the other end, and you're managing and things like that. So that's truly a blessing. Like, that's a powerful testimony right there to to know that, for example, you were at, you know, I guess the end of your rope in some ways, right? But then you push through, and then now you feel like you're walking in your purpose and doing the things that I guess God created you to do. And so I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's a mic drop right there. I don't know. Do you have anything to add to that in regards to, like, you know, maybe somebody is in their low moment right now? Like, what would you say to that person today?
Like I still have my mom. It's like, to me, when you have mental health issues, they never end. Like, people be like, oh, I can defeat this, and I can, like, I had to learn to accept. Like, that's what I had to learn. Like, God is working on me now with patience, but first He's working on me with acceptance. Like, I was like, oh, I can get rid of this. Or it's you know, I had to realize that, no, you're not going to overcome this. This is a part of your life. So how are you going to deal with it? Like, you know, so I just learned how, like I said, how to deal with it. So anybody who's like in a low moment, like, I can really talk through how to get through the depression. If you're like majorly depressed, I just recommend facing your fears. Because depression is when you replay moments over and over, and it's like not breaking past a certain part of your life, or like it's trauma. Like, if you're depressed, one, you got to get out the house, because you sit in the house. Most people who are depressed, they sit in the house, or they don't want to leave, or they come out to do what they have to do to, like, work, and they're like, okay, I'm going home, or they go to the bar and drink their problems away. It's like, but you have to really face your problems. You have to be like, okay, this happened to me, that happened to me. You know, this is this many years ago. How am I gonna push through my life? Because you can't be stuck in, like, in your teens. Like, you can't be stuck in your childhood, because you're never gonna blossom. Like, my story might help somebody else out, but if I'm sitting up here depressed and not working through it, how can I help other people?
Exactly. And so, and then you say now you have your business that is all about, you know, the empowerment and helping people and things of that nature. And you mentioned nonprofit and whatnot as well that you had. So what can we, I mean, well, I know you already kind of gave us a sneak peek of some things you're going to be working towards, like the children's content, the, you know, classes, things of that nature. But when it comes to the things you've been through and stuff like that, do you have anything you kind of wanted to work on in regard to that part as well?
Yeah, I'm going to start speaking more. So that's all. Like, I want to come talk on this show. I want to start sharing my story more, because I have a deeper story that I want to share. Like, I'm going to give like a preview of it. Like, my grandma, I found out that she had schizophrenia. So I was kind of raised by a schizophrenic grandma. Like, it's crazy. Like, I did some research, and I found out my great grandma actually died in a mental hospital. So it runs in my family. And I found out it's a lot of, like, it's just a lot of hormones. And so I'm learning, like, that it's good to know your family history. Like, I don't have kids, but I know, like, if I did have kids, I would know, like, okay, maybe I need to prepare for this, so my child knows how to deal with, you know, such and such. So I want to start sharing, like, my whole story and a lot of stuff I've been through, because I feel like there's somebody else out there.
Well, that's true. It definitely is. I think that's one of the things that the enemy uses, try to make us feel like we're alone, we're the only ones, when really you're one of many. Or you just mentioned a whole line, and unfortunately that does make me think about this phrase that I hear so much these days about generational curses and things of that nature. So do you feel like you're kind of the one breaking some of those things right now? Like, you know, maybe do you see some things that you do differently than perhaps that your grandmother did, or maybe the mother?
Like, my grandma, like, she, you know, she just died a couple of years ago, but I, like, the thing is with that, nobody ever knew she had schizophrenia. Like, I really, like, I hate to say this, but this helped me kind of cure my depression a little bit. Like, I really didn't like my grandma because she was schizophrenic, but I couldn't tell you that's why I didn't like her. I just remember having bad experiences, and, like, just a lot of bad stuff that happened, like, to me, because she was schizophrenic. But I didn't know that she was schizophrenic. So now that she's gone, I'm like, I got to tell her story, because it's like, it's somebody out there who might be like, oh, I hate such and such, but maybe they have a mental illness, like, and you don't know it. And, you know, I had to learn, like, to let go. So now, me under how I found out my grandma had mental illness is, like, she always used to write stuff on paper, and she always used to keep a lot of secrets. So when she died, I went and got all her pictures, and I looked on the back of every picture and looked at family members, and I contacted, like, a long lost cousin. She was like, yeah, I was looking for you too. And we were talking about it. And that's how I found out my grandma had schizophrenia and separated herself from her family. Like it was really deep.
Wow.
And her sister had issues as well. So it's so deep in our family how this has affected it, where it's sad. Like it's really sad. But I do feel like I'm breaking generational curses because I'm aware of it and I know how to deal with it, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. I believe there's other like members of my family, like even my own mom. I love her, and she's alive, so I hope she don't kill me when she sees this. But I feel like she doesn't admit nothing's wrong with her. Like she's just like she lives every day, and it's a lot. And I deal with it. And I learned that my mom's not going to accept that. But I feel like if I have kids, anybody after me, they're going to know like this is what our family deals with. And if you have any issues, or I see behavior problems in school, I'm going to know how to address that. So I feel like I'm breaking the generational curse.
Yes, I can definitely see that, and I commend you. I commend you for that because, unfortunately, that is one of the things I've observed. I feel like the generations before us, they did so much to keep secrets or hold things in or keep it to themselves, maybe because they didn't want to burden someone else, whatever the case is. But then when people they don't know, they don't understand. So you, for example, grew up thinking like she's just mean or she's just whatever it was, right?
She was crazy.
Like treating me this way one day or whatever case is, treating me the other day or whatever. And then come to find out, like if you had known, then maybe there could have been, a different relationship or understanding or whatever the case is. Maybe you wouldn't fully understand because, still as kids, we still don't fully understand everything, even if we do know. But at least I think it would have enlightened you in some ways. Like, for example, I think I'm just thinking now, this is just me speculating, right? That if this was me, right, and I knew, then maybe I would have read some books about it or got some understanding or talked to my school counselor or something, right, to get an understanding to then know, okay, well, now that I understand what it is, then maybe I can like deal with my grandma a little differently or whatever, you know what I mean? But if it's like you keeping it all to yourself and you lash out or whatever, it's just, or again, we find out things years later that we should have known, even when it comes to health and all this stuff. Like, I mean, it could be physical health things, not just mental health. I mean, that's another thing that I feel like the generations before us keep secrets and stuff. And then next thing you know, someone passed and then you go to the doctors and they're asking you about your family history. And you're like, no, I hadn't had such stuff in my family. and then come to find out you did have X, Y, and Z in your family. Like, so it's just, I mean, I do feel like that's one thing that I'm seeing, I guess our generation and beyond, like attacking things head on and like having hard conversations and I guess exposing the darkness and whatnot, which isn't comfortable. It might not be comfortable for everybody, but on the flip side, it's like, I mean, it's more than empowering, but the word empowering is what came into my mind. And it's empowering to know truth. Because I mean, like Bible said, the truth will set you free. Like now that you know the truth, like, I mean, I don't know. Do you feel free or am I?
Yes, well, I feel a lot free. I feel a lot freer, and I feel like it's somebody out there, like a kid or somebody that I'm gonna be able to talk to that nobody else will be able to reach, because I'm gonna understand them. Like there's somebody out there who I can help from my story. So I feel a lot more free. But I also feel like that a lot of generations behind us, like to find out that my great grandma, I never met her. like my grandma's grandma. So that might be 4 generations. She actually, like I said, she died in mental hospital. So it's kind of like, okay, back then, I don't think people were like open to mental health. Like, mental health, I've been in a psych ward. I recommend for people to talk to their friends and family before they get sent there, because it wasn't the worst treatment, but it's not somewhere you want to be. It's like, I felt like I had to be like, okay, I'm good, I'm okay. So they would let me out. Like it's not somewhere you want to be. So I feel like it might have been worse back in the day of how they treated people in mental asylums. So I feel like I don't think that people like kept it a secret on purpose. I think it was just the way that mental health it was judged. Like most people are scared to say, hey, I have this, because we're in a more of an open society where people are accepting of this. Back then, people would be like, oh, don't go around her. She has it was a big stigma over mental health.
Right. Yeah, I get that. I don't know. I guess it's a balance then, right? It's still definitely, because obviously there's some things that, is people's personal business, but then there are some things that your family should know, like, I don't know, those things, but I'm glad that you have found some freedom and understanding in finding out the truth, right? And then now, I'm glad that you are facing it head on and willing to help the next generation, whether it be your fruit that comes from you or not, so I think that's a beautiful thing, and I appreciate you coming here and, you know, being open and transparent about, you know, your testimony. I guess we need to look forward to more.
Yeah, I'm gonna do
more
a deep story like on like stuff about the whole testimony. So, but I just think that my voice needs to be heard more, and I need to start speaking on it, because of me not speaking is like, what am I doing holding in stuff?
That's true. That's true. And so do you see like more content that, you know, you ain't got to give us all your tea or whatever the case is, but you see yourself making more content and things that are centered around this movement?
I haven't figured that out yet. I haven't figured out like what I want to do with that. I just want to make awareness of mental health. I don't want to, I kind of want to do like mental health advocacy, but I want to focus more on confidence and things like that. So maybe not. I haven't quite figured out where I want to go with that, but I am going to start sharing it because it may help somebody.
Well, that's good. I know the guy's going to lead. You know, he's going to tell you.
I haven't got completely led what to do yet. You know.
One step at a time, man. One step at a time. Yes. Well, I mean, where can we find the information about you and your endeavors and your books you publish?
Artenough.com, and then my Instagram is at Art is More Than Enough. Because somebody has Art Enough. Nothing's on there, but art is more than enough. So that's what I try to teach people. Like, we are more than enough. You know, I try to teach you through art.
Nice. And is there anything else you want to share with us before you go?
Let me think. I just want to tell you thank you, because I feel like you're a part. I don't think you realize it, but you're a big part of my journey. I tell people that all the time.
Well, man, listen, I appreciate you sharing that with me, and I guess again, I can't take too much credit. I just try my best to just do whatever, you know, ensure like that. But on the flip side, it does, I guess, feel good to know that like the things you do matters, you know what I mean? And so thank you, right, for not only just being a hero or whatever the case is, but a doer. I definitely commend you, definitely proud of you, and excited to see what else is gonna come for you, lady. I really am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching the GSL Talk Show, and thank you to Miss Lawrencia for joining us tonight. I hope that you all enjoyed the conversation. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and check out Lawrencia and her endeavors. Have a good night.